Why do overthinkers suffer so much? Denzel Washington motivation. Stoicism. Do you ever lie awake at night, your mind racing with thoughts you can't quiet? You replay every word, glance, or message, wishing you could rewrite it all. If this sounds familiar, you're likely an overthinker. Overthinkers don't just think. They dissect, question, and feel everything intensely. Every conversation becomes a mental maze, and the weight of constant worry feels suffocating. This endless cycle drains your energy, steals your peace, and disrupts your rest. The worst part? It doesn't just steal joy, it hinders progress. How long will you let these thoughts control your life? Let's explore how embracing modern stoicism and wisdom from figures like Denzel Washington can help you break free. Welcome to Stoic in Your Life. Number 1. Why do overthinkers suffer? Have you ever wondered why overthinkers seem to suffer so much despite their many strengths? Their minds are wired differently, gifted with the ability to perceive and analyze details that others often miss. While this heightened awareness allows them to connect with others deeply, it can also become overwhelming. Overthinkers can easily get lost in the smallest details. Subtle changes in a person's tone, body language, or facial expression. This sensitivity helps them understand others' emotions, but it also leads to self-doubt and anxiety. They replay conversations, second-guessing their actions, and worrying about how others perceive them. In social situations, they often feel as if they're walking on eggshells, fearing even the slightest mistake could have serious consequences. The desire to maintain harmony and fix everything can make overthinkers feel as if they must control things beyond their power. This drive can lead to stress, frustration, and burnout, leaving them drained and searching for peace. However, the secret isn't in trying to control everything or endlessly striving for perfection. It's in embracing the Stoic mindset, which teaches us to focus only on what we can control. Overthinkers can find freedom by letting go of the need to fix everything and instead focusing on their actions, responses, and mindset. This shift in perspective can reduce anxiety and allow them to navigate life with more clarity. Think of a time when you found yourself overthinking something, only to realize later that it wasn't worth the mental energy. Wouldn't it have been easier to trust the process and let go of that anxiety earlier? By practicing this, overthinkers can transform their habit of overanalyzing into a more manageable experience. For example, imagine an athlete preparing for a big game. The athlete might obsess over every detail, how they'll perform, what they'll wear, the outcome of the game. But ultimately, none of these things are fully within their control. What they can control is their preparation, focus, and attitude. Everything else, they must release. This is where the Stoic secrets come into play. The Stoic mindset teaches us to focus on our effort and let go of fear. By applying these principles, overthinkers can turn their sensitivity into a strength, becoming more resilient, adaptable, and peaceful. They can let go of the need to control everything and focus on what truly matters: their own actions, mindset, and reactions. This shift doesn't mean thinking less, it means thinking with intention and clarity. The next time you catch yourself overthinking, ask yourself, what's within my control here? Let go of everything else, and trust that things will unfold as they should. By embracing these Stoic secrets, the weight of overthinking will lessen, replaced by a sense of calm and clarity. Your sensitivity can become a source of strength instead of suffering, if you learn to use it wisely. Overthinking often stems from an intense focus on small details that others may overlook. For the overthinker, even minor changes in body language or tone can feel like significant signals. This heightened awareness, while sometimes useful, can become mentally exhausting. Overthinkers constantly analyze these small cues, assuming they hold deep personal meaning. This creates a state of hyper-alertness, where every little incident is blown out of proportion, leading to endless speculation and anxiety. For example, if someone responds briefly or takes time to reply to a text, the overthinker's mind races with questions. Did I upset them? Logically, what's wrong? Logically, what does this mean for our relationship? This cycle rarely provides clarity, and often leaves them feeling drained and confused. The Stoics understood the dangers of overinterpreting events. Marcus Aurelius said, "If you are distressed by any external thing, it is not this thing that disturbs you, but your own judgment about it." Overthinkers tend to misinterpret neutral events as significant or threatening, when in fact, their interpretations may not reflect reality. Stoicism teaches us to separate external events which are beyond our control from our internal reactions, which we can manage. Overthinking often comes from trying to control others' behavior, but the only thing we can control is how we respond. Another issue is the isolation overthinkers often feel. Believing no one else notices or understands these small details, they may retreat into their thoughts, unwilling to share their concerns. This sense of misunderstanding can worsen feelings of loneliness. As Epictetus said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions but in having few wants." This applies to overthinking. The more we seek to understand every detail, the more we burden ourselves with unnecessary anxiety. Stoicism encourages us to focus on what we can control and let go of the need to assign meaning to things that don't serve us. By practicing mindfulness and observing our thoughts without judgment, we can stop over-analyzing situations that are neutral. Overthinking can also create fear of judgment, causing many to avoid seeking help. This isolation only deepens the anxiety. Seneca reminds us that no man is free who is not master of himself. True freedom comes from mastering our thoughts. The Stoics believed that letting go of mental burdens brings inner peace. In today's world, the constant flow of information and social media can fuel overthinking. To overcome this, we must embrace modern Stoicism, acceptance, self-awareness, and a focus on what we can control. By practicing these principles, we can break free from the trap of overthinking and cultivate a life of clarity, peace, and resilience. Overthinkers often burden themselves with an overwhelming sense of responsibility that stretches far beyond their own actions. This mindset doesn't just encompass their own choices or personal responsibilities. It spills over into the lives of those around them, leading them to feel responsible for ensuring everything, from relationships to work, runs smoothly. In doing so, they feel an incessant pressure to anticipate every potential issue before it arises and prevent any problems from disrupting the delicate balance they perceive in the world. For example, when a friend feels upset, an overthinker might immediately turn inward, wondering if they somehow contributed to their friend's emotional state or questioning if there was something more they could have done. Similarly, at work, they may internalize every decision, feeling that each choice they make could significantly alter the outcome of a project or the success of their team. This profound sense of responsibility, though well-intentioned, can lead to burnout as the overthinker tries to meet both the external expectations of others and the relentless demands of their own internal dialogue. The weight of such responsibility becomes even heavier due to their natural tendency to second-guess their every move, perpetually wondering if there might have been a better approach or different path they should have chosen. This constant self-critique can be mentally exhausting, leaving little room for relaxation or peace of mind. Over time, this feeling of being trapped in an unending cycle of trying to fix things, many of which are beyond their control, can be all-consuming. It can be paralyzing to constantly believe that if only they tried harder or thought more deeply, they could prevent suffering, failure, or disappointment in themselves and others. But in embracing the essence of modern Stoicism, which teaches the importance of focusing only on what is within our control, overthinkers can begin to shift their perspective. Recognizing that not everything is their responsibility is a crucial step toward letting go of the need to control every outcome. As the Stoic philosopher Epictetus wisely said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." The less we try to control, the more peace we can cultivate within. Overthinkers need to remember that their worth is not tied to the success of every endeavor, or the happiness of every person around them. True tranquility comes when they recognize the limits of their control and surrender to what they cannot change, focusing their energy on what they can. In today's fast-paced world, where the pressure to constantly manage expectations is overwhelming, adopting a Stoic mindset can help individuals embrace responsibility in a healthier, more sustainable way. Instead of trying to manage every outcome, we must focus on mastering our own responses, acting thoughtfully, and then letting go of the rest. Modern Stoicism provides the tools to reframe responsibility not as a burden to bear, but as a challenge to approach with wisdom and grace, allowing us to preserve our mental well-being while navigating the complexities of modern life. If you're an overthinker, you might relate to the struggles I've shared today. So, which of these challenges resonates with you the most? The pressure to find answers in everything, getting trapped by small details, or feeling burdened by responsibility? Leave a comment with 1, 2, or 3 to let us know which one hits home for you. And make sure to watch until the end, because there's a surprise lesson waiting that will really help you shift your mindset and find peace. Trust me, you don't want to miss it. Number 2. Overthinking's impact on relationships. Have you ever caught yourself trapped in your own thoughts, obsessing over a simple comment or gesture, wondering what it really meant? For overthinkers, relationships can feel like walking through a minefield where every word, gesture, or moment of silence seems to hold a hidden meaning. The need for certainty drives them to analyze every conversation, every glance, and every pause, leading to a cycle of overthinking that can be exhausting. A vague response from a partner might send them into hours of questioning. Are they upset or just tired? This constant need for reassurance creates tension, making the relationship feel like something that needs constant fixing. Have you ever replayed a conversation in your mind, searching for hidden messages or second-guessing what was said? The problem isn't the desire for understanding, but the endless search for answers that may not even exist. This tendency to overthink often leads to the urge to fix everything, even when nothing is wrong. A small disagreement or misunderstanding can send the overthinker into overdrive, trying to smooth things over and restore peace. They feel the need to control the outcome to ensure harmony at all costs. Do you ever feel like you need to fix things immediately in a relationship, even when it's really not necessary? This constant vigilance is draining for both the overthinker and their partner, leading to emotional burnout and dissatisfaction over time. But what's the solution? The Stoic mindset offers a powerful remedy. One of the Stoic secrets is learning to focus only on what we can control and letting go of what we can't. In relationships, this means releasing the need to control every detail, every response, and every situation. Overthinkers try to control the uncontrollable, other people's emotions, thoughts, and reactions. But the truth is, we can't control how others feel or behave. We can only control our actions, responses, and mindset. By embracing this Stoic wisdom, we can ease the pressure we place on ourselves and reduce unnecessary stress. Instead of obsessing over every word or gesture, we can focus on being present and responding with clarity, not anxiety. Think about a time when a small disagreement spiraled out of control because you tried to fix it right away. How much energy did that take, emotionally and mentally? Imagine if you had stepped back and trusted that things would work out on their own, allowing your partner the space to process their feelings. The Stoic secret here is understanding that relationships, like life, come with moments of uncertainty and discomfort. Rather than overthinking them, we can choose to meet these moments with calm and composure. This shift can help preserve our emotional energy and avoid unnecessary stress. When we learn to let go of the need to fix everything, we allow our relationships to grow naturally. By focusing on what we can control, our reactions, our communication, and our mindset, we can break the cycle of overanalysis. We stop trying to control every detail and start trusting the process. Relationships become less of a puzzle to solve and more of a space where trust, understanding, and peace can develop. It's not about solving every problem right away. It's about accepting the natural ebb and flow of connection without forcing it. The next time you find yourself caught in the spiral of overthinking, ask yourself, what's truly within my control here? Let go of the need to read between the lines and trust that sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is simply step back, breathe, and let things unfold. By embracing these Stoic secrets, you'll find that relationships become a source of peace, not stress. And in that process, you may discover that the greatest solution is simply letting go. Overthinkers often bear a heavy burden of self-blame when faced with challenges in relationships. When misunderstandings, arguments, or emotional distance occur, they instinctively question their own actions, wondering, did I say something wrong? Or, was it my fault? This self-blame becomes a source of distress as they tirelessly search for solutions to fix what they perceive as their mistakes. Even without a clear reason for the shift, overthinkers replay past conversations, dissecting every detail in search of where things went awry. In doing so, they often create imagined problems, envision worst-case scenarios, and trap themselves in feelings of insecurity and helplessness. This cycle not only complicates the situation, but also erodes self-worth, making overthinkers feel inadequate or unworthy of their partner's love. This pattern of over-questioning can be damaging, fostering a sense of powerlessness as they spiral deeper into doubt and anxiety. Overthinkers isolate themselves emotionally, convinced that they alone are to blame, which only amplifies their fear of rejection. This approach obscures the truth. Relationships are inherently complex, and responsibility for their challenges cannot rest solely on one person. As Epictetus wisely said, "It is not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." Overthinkers can benefit from this insight by shifting their focus from unproductive self-blame to healthier perspectives, embracing the idea that relationships require shared effort and understanding. By letting go of the need to assign blame or overanalyze, they can foster a more balanced and peaceful mindset. Modern life exacerbates this issue, as social media and constant connectivity often intensify self-doubt and criticism. Many overthinkers feel compelled to control every aspect of their relationships, leaving them overwhelmed when things don't go as planned. The principles of modern Stoicism offer valuable guidance here, emphasizing acceptance of what is beyond our control and focusing on our own actions and responses. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." By redirecting energy away from constant self-questioning and toward fostering meaningful connections, overthinkers can develop greater emotional clarity and resilience. Relationships are not about perfection, but about growth, collaboration, and understanding. To break the destructive cycle of self-blame, overthinkers must practice self-awareness and mindfulness. Observing their thoughts without judgment can help them detach from unnecessary guilt and embrace a healthier outlook. By recognizing when their thoughts are spiraling, they can pause, reflect, and choose a more constructive response. Modern Stoicism encourages overthinkers to accept imperfection, both in themselves and in others, and to focus on nurturing relationships based on mutual respect rather than fear of failure. In today's fast-paced world, the wisdom of the Stoics is more relevant than ever. Overthinkers must remember that relationships are not a measure of personal worth but a shared journey. By applying Stoic principles like acceptance, self-awareness, and letting go of unrealistic expectations, they can break free from self-blame and build stronger, more fulfilling connections. Letting go of the need to control every aspect of a relationship not only reduces anxiety, but also creates space for deeper understanding and genuine love. This journey toward emotional clarity and self-acceptance allows overthinkers to cultivate healthier relationships with themselves and the people they care about most. Number 3. Overthinking's impact on life. 3.1. For overthinkers, even the smallest of decisions can feel like monumental challenges. The simple act of choosing what to wear in the morning, deciding how to respond in a conversation, or even selecting a project to focus on at work can become fraught with anxiety. Each choice seems like a high-stakes gamble, with the fear of making the wrong decision looming over them. The overwhelming pressure to get everything right, even in the most trivial of circumstances, leads them to imagine worst-case scenarios for every option they consider, endlessly weighing the pros and cons until they feel mentally paralyzed. The problem with overthinking is that it often magnifies the potential consequences of a choice, so much so that the decision-making process itself becomes a source of stress. A simple question like, "Where should we go for dinner?" can spiral into a mental cascade of worries. What if they don't like the restaurant? Or, what if I choose the wrong dish? Similarly, sending a text message might be followed by a wave of doubts. What if I come off as too casual, or even rude? This kind of overanalysis not only makes daily tasks feel daunting, but it also saps mental energy, leaving overthinkers feeling drained after making decisions that others might consider insignificant. The fear of making a mistake is so pervasive that it can distort reality, making routine decisions seem like major turning points. In many ways, each choice becomes a critical juncture, with overthinkers convinced that one wrong move could drastically change the course of their lives. But this cycle of indecision can become mentally and emotionally exhausting, leading them to second-guess even their most instinctive reactions. The inability to move forward, the constant weighing of options, and the need to get every detail right can lead to a paralysis that feels inescapable. Over time, this persistent questioning erodes their confidence and makes it even harder to trust their own judgment. It becomes a vicious cycle, one where the more they think, the more they doubt. In the words of the Stoic philosopher Epictetus, "Freedom is the only goal. The most important thing in life is to be free." Modern Stoicism teaches us that the pursuit of perfection often holds us back, and the constant fear of making mistakes can be paralyzing. It is not the perfection of every choice that leads to a fulfilled life, but the courage to make decisions and move forward, trusting that mistakes are opportunities for growth. When we shift our mindset, we realize that our worth is not tied to making flawless decisions, but to the ability to act with intention and learn from our experiences. Embracing this perspective can alleviate the pressure and stress that overthinkers face when confronted with even the most routine decisions. In modern life, with its constant demands and ever-growing expectations, learning to trust in our decisions, small or large, becomes an essential skill. By accepting that no decision is without risk and that mistakes are an inevitable part of life, we can free ourselves from the paralysis of overthinking. Modern Stoicism provides a framework for navigating this reality, helping us focus on what we can control and letting go of the need to be perfect in every choice we make. The key lies in moving forward, not in the endless process of perfecting every action before we take it. Overthinking often begins with the pursuit of perfection, a goal that seems noble but is in fact one of the most exhausting paths we can take. For overthinkers, the drive to achieve perfection in everything they do, whether it's in their work, relationships, or personal projects, feels like an endless quest for approval or validation. This urge to perfect every detail comes from a fear of failure and the need to control outcomes. But here's the catch. Perfection is an illusion. No matter how much time and energy we pour into making something flawless, we're rarely satisfied, and it drains us mentally and emotionally. Picture this. Imagine you're preparing for an important presentation at work. You spend hours tweaking every detail, making sure that your slides are just right, your words perfectly chosen, and your delivery impeccable. But when it's all said and done, you can't shake the feeling that something's missing. Maybe you can't stop thinking about that one tiny flaw that no one else noticed, or you fear that your colleagues will judge you. Even though it's over, your mind is still running, replaying everything over and over, searching for something that could have been better. This cycle of perfectionism leads to burnout. Overthinkers can never relax because they're always searching for flaws that aren't there, always chasing the illusion of an unattainable ideal. The pressure to be flawless in every aspect of life, the perfect career, the perfect relationship, the perfect body, creates a constant feeling of inadequacy. You feel like you're never enough, no matter how much you achieve. And that dissatisfaction becomes the lens through which you see the world. The more you strive for perfection, the more it slips through your fingers. It's a never-ending chase, and it often leaves you stuck in a cycle of self-criticism and frustration. Sound familiar? You're not alone. Even some of the most successful people like Denzel Washington have shared how their pursuit of perfection can be a source of immense suffering. But here's the thing. What if we stopped chasing perfection and embraced progress instead? In Stoic philosophy, there's a powerful lesson about focusing on what is within our control and letting go of the rest. The Stoics teach us that we cannot control everything, and the sooner we accept that, the more peaceful and free we will feel. When you stop obsessing over perfect outcomes and start focusing on doing your best, you begin to feel a sense of liberation. This isn't to say that you should abandon high standards or quit trying to improve, but you must recognize that perfection is not the end goal. Progress is, and progress doesn't require perfection. It simply requires effort, consistency, and the willingness to learn from mistakes. So, how can you apply this to your own life? Start by asking yourself, are you chasing perfection in areas of your life that are draining your energy and peace of mind? What would happen if you allowed yourself to make mistakes, to embrace imperfection, and to focus more on progress than on flawlessness? The Stoic secrets to a more peaceful life aren't about striving to be perfect. They're about focusing on what we can control, accepting what we can't, and learning to let go of unnecessary expectations. True success doesn't come from being flawless, but from being authentic, resilient, and willing to grow. It's time to shift from seeking perfection to pursuing progress, and that's where real peace and fulfillment lie. So, let go of the need for perfection. Embrace the journey of growth, and you'll find that the suffering you've been experiencing will begin to fade. Let go of the weight of overthinking and step into a life where your efforts are enough, and you are enough. Overthinking often leads to one of the most crippling effects: endless indecision. The fear of making the wrong choice becomes a powerful force, paralyzing those who overthink. The very act of deciding can feel like stepping into a vast unknown, where every option seems fraught with potential risks and consequences. This constant state of uncertainty makes it incredibly difficult to take action, as overthinkers become ensnared in a cycle of doubt, fear, and second-guessing. The mere thought of choosing a career path, making a major life decision, or even deciding where to go on vacation can become overwhelming. It's as if every choice requires an exhaustive mental process. Every risk needs to be weighed, every possible consequence analyzed. Yet, no matter how much deliberation takes place, the decision is never made. In fact, the more time spent considering the options, the more confusing the situation becomes, and the overthinker is left feeling like they're stuck in a loop of indecision. Every outcome seems uncertain, and the fear of making the wrong decision leads to a profound sense of dread, as though one wrong move could bring regret. As a result, action is avoided altogether. This paralysis is not limited to major life decisions. It extends into daily life, where something as simple as choosing what to eat or what to wear can provoke a sense of overwhelm. Overthinkers may spend long moments deliberating over the most trivial decisions, unsure of what they should choose, worried about how their choice will be perceived, or whether it will meet their own expectations. This constant hesitation feeds into a cycle of frustration and self-doubt, which eventually breeds anxiety. In the mind of an overthinker, this can feel like a failure, an inability to trust one's own judgment. The endless questioning begins to erode self-confidence, leaving the individual feeling as though they're not measuring up to their own standards. In the long run, this indecision is not just frustrating, but also damaging. Opportunities slip by unnoticed, and with each missed chance, the feeling of being stuck intensifies. It's easy to feel like life is passing by, and the overthinker becomes trapped in a place of inaction, watching opportunities and experiences fade away. This pattern of indecision is deeply tied to the fear of making mistakes, a fear rooted in perfectionism. But here's where modern Stoicism can be a powerful antidote. The Stoics taught us to focus not on the outcome, but on our own actions. Epictetus, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, famously said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." In the context of overthinking, this wisdom reminds us that our power lies not in controlling every aspect of our lives or in predicting every outcome, but in how we respond to the choices before us. Rather than paralyzing oneself with endless analysis, the Stoic approach encourages us to act in accordance with our values and principles, leaving the outcomes to unfold as they will. Making decisions with clarity of purpose, based on what is within our control, can free us from the constant swirl of uncertainty that comes with overthinking. In modern life, the fear of making mistakes can often feel amplified by societal pressures and the weight of expectations. Whether it's making a career move, choosing the right partner, or even deciding on everyday matters like how to spend our free time, it's easy to get caught in the web of what-ifs. But the Stoic perspective offers a refreshing shift. It's not the choice itself that determines our happiness, but the integrity with which we approach it. Marcus Aurelius, another Stoic philosopher, reminds us, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." By training ourselves to focus on what we can control, our decisions, our actions, and our responses, we can break free from the trap of indecision. Instead of seeking perfection or avoiding mistakes, we learn to trust in our ability to adapt and move forward. Modern Stoicism teaches us that it's the act of taking decisive action that cultivates growth, not the avoidance of discomfort or risk. By shifting our focus from the fear of being wrong to the courage to act, we find freedom. Each decision, no matter how small, becomes an opportunity to practice the art of living with purpose and resilience, cultivating a life that's truly our own. If you've ever found yourself stuck in a cycle of overthinking in relationships, agonizing over every word or gesture, let us know in the comments. Do you find yourself trying to fix things even when nothing is wrong? Share your thoughts below with, "I'm stuck in a cycle of overthinking," or, "I fix things when nothing is wrong." And don't forget to watch until the end. The last 3 tips are full of surprises that could change the way you approach overthinking forever. Number 4. Why do overthinkers suffer so much? Overthinkers often suffer deeply because of an overwhelming sense of responsibility that they carry in every aspect of their lives. They feel as if they are accountable not just for their own actions, but for the well-being of everyone around them. This burden of responsibility can feel all-encompassing, leaving them constantly preoccupied with the idea that they must fix problems, manage emotions, and ensure that things go smoothly at all times. For an overthinker, this sense of duty is not confined to their own life. It extends outward, and they often find themselves emotionally invested in situations they have little control over. Take, for instance, a loved one who is upset. The overthinker might feel personally responsible for their distress, believing it is their job to make things right. This deep empathy is admirable, but it also leads to emotional exhaustion, as the overthinker absorbs the negative energy, suppressing their own feelings in the process. Similarly, in the workplace or social settings, they often feel compelled to take on more than their fair share of tasks, believing that the success of a project or event is on their shoulders alone. The pressure to perform flawlessly in every situation, whether it's personal or professional, can leave them feeling drained, overwhelmed, and constantly on edge. This relentless drive to get it right can quickly spiral into burnout, as overthinkers juggle the expectations they place on themselves with those of others. However, the weight of this responsibility often leads to feelings of inadequacy, especially when things don't go as planned. Overthinkers tend to blame themselves for situations that are beyond their control, convinced they could have done more or acted differently to prevent failure or disappointment. This self-blame perpetuates a cycle of anxiety, self-doubt, and frustration, as they feel like they are perpetually falling short of the high standards they've set for themselves. The pressure to be perfect in all areas of life can become paralyzing, as they feel incapable of meeting expectations, either their own or those imposed by others. In this way, overthinking becomes not just a source of stress, but also a barrier to peace of mind and contentment. In modern Stoicism, we are reminded that there are many things beyond our control, and it is the acceptance of this truth that brings us freedom. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." This wisdom highlights that the less we try to control, the more room we have for peace and fulfillment. Overthinkers, by taking on more than they can manage, often create an illusion of control that only leads to more anxiety. The key to alleviating this suffering lies in recognizing the limits of our responsibility and accepting that not everything is within our power to fix. Instead of trying to solve every problem, we can focus on responding thoughtfully to the situations that matter most and letting go of those we cannot change. Modern Stoicism teaches us that the only responsibility we truly have is to ourselves, to act with integrity, to focus on our own responses, and to accept that mistakes are part of life's inevitable unpredictability. Once we shift our perspective, we begin to realize that our worth does not depend on our ability to manage the world around us, but rather on how we handle our own thoughts, actions, and reactions. By embracing this Stoic principle, overthinkers can release the constant pressure to be all things to all people, and instead focus on living with purpose and clarity. In today's world, where external demands often push us to take on more than is reasonable, modern Stoicism offers a grounding philosophy that encourages us to prioritize what is within our control and release the rest. The journey toward inner peace begins when we learn to let go of the illusion that we must be responsible for everything and everyone, and instead focus on being responsible for our own well-being and actions. Overthinkers often suffer from a profound emotional sensitivity, one that makes them deeply attuned to their own feelings and the emotions of those around them. This heightened awareness allows them to form powerful connections and to empathize in ways that many others cannot. But while this sensitivity can be a gift, it also has a dark side. Overthinkers can feel things more deeply than most, whether it's the joy of a shared moment or the sting of a disagreement. This emotional depth, while enriching, often leads to painful ruminations and can feel overwhelming. Have you ever found yourself replaying a simple conversation in your head, wondering if you said something wrong or unintentionally hurt someone's feelings? This is something many overthinkers experience on a daily basis. It's as though their emotions take center stage in every interaction, and the smallest issues become magnified in their minds. In fact, something as minor as a disagreement with a friend can feel like a major emotional crisis, leaving them feeling heartbroken and drained. The result is constant emotional exhaustion, as their minds can't help but analyze every detail, often to the point of burnout. They might even struggle with the emotions of others, feeling deeply affected by a loved one's mood, or becoming overwhelmed by someone else's pain. This creates an emotional roller coaster, where it's difficult to differentiate between their own feelings and the emotions of those they care about. It's a cycle that can leave them emotionally drained, caught between their need to care for others and the desire to protect their own emotional well-being. This sensitivity, though it fosters deep emotional bonds, also leaves them more vulnerable to emotional pain. Over time, it becomes harder for them to let go of difficult situations, even when it would be healthier to do so. How can they find balance between caring for others and taking care of themselves? The Stoic secrets offer wisdom here. The Stoics teach us to recognize what is within our control and what is not. We can control how we respond to others' emotions, but we cannot always prevent the emotional turmoil that comes from being deeply connected to others. They remind us that it's essential to practice detachment, not in the sense of being indifferent, but in allowing ourselves to feel deeply without being consumed by those feelings. The Stoics embrace emotional resilience, teaching us that we must accept our sensitivity as part of who we are, but not let it rule our lives. So, how can you manage this emotional intensity in your own life? Perhaps it's about learning to take a step back and reflect on whether a situation truly warrants the emotional energy you're investing. Can you allow yourself to feel but not to dwell? If you're an overthinker, ask yourself this. Are you letting your empathy drain you, or are you using it to connect in ways that nourish both you and those around you? By focusing on what you can control, your responses and boundaries, you begin to free yourself from the emotional exhaustion that comes with overthinking. Next time you feel overwhelmed by your emotions, remember, while your sensitivity is a gift, it doesn't have to be your burden. You can learn to embrace your feelings, but also give yourself permission to let go of the need to fix everything or understand every emotion. In doing so, you'll unlock a deeper sense of peace and balance. The Stoic secrets to emotional resilience are not about suppressing your feelings, but about learning to flow with them without letting them dictate your life. Life is about balance, and when you learn to manage your sensitivity, you'll discover a more peaceful, fulfilling way to experience the world. One of the biggest struggles for overthinkers is their inability to let go of the past. They often get stuck in a cycle of rumination, repeatedly replaying events in their minds, revisiting conversations, decisions, and actions, wondering if they could have handled things differently. A seemingly insignificant moment, like an awkward remark, can linger for days or weeks, while they replay it over and over, searching for a different outcome. This constant analysis fosters self-doubt and regret, preventing progress. For example, if they said something they later regretted, they'll analyze every word and gesture, imagining different ways they could have approached the situation. This obsession with past mistakes creates emotional weight that keeps them from embracing the present and moving forward. The core issue isn't the past itself, but their inability to release it. As the Stoic philosopher Epictetus said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." Overthinkers create an unrealistic desire for a perfect past that never existed, leaving them dissatisfied and stuck. In addition to this, overthinkers often fail to forgive themselves for past mistakes. They become overly critical, believing they can never truly make up for their errors. This leads to guilt, shame, and frustration, and they get so fixated on their perceived failures that they forget their potential for growth and self-compassion. They often feel that no matter how hard they try, they can never undo the damage they've caused. This ongoing self-criticism prevents emotional healing and locks them in a cycle of frustration and despair. The Stoics teach us to accept imperfection and focus on what we can control. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor, said, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." This is especially important for overthinkers. By letting go of perfectionism and focusing on improvement in the present, they can find peace. Letting go is a challenging task, particularly for those who are conditioned to analyze every detail of every experience. However, releasing the need for control and perfection is essential for emotional freedom. Modern Stoicism provides clear guidance here. It teaches us to recognize that some things are beyond our control. The Stoics made it clear, we cannot control everything around us, but we can control how we respond. By forgiving ourselves, we must accept that perfection is an illusion and that we are all flawed. It is not our mistakes that define us, but how we learn from them. We cannot change the past, but we can decide how we act moving forward. Modern Stoicism encourages personal growth rather than self-punishment, emphasizing that we should focus on becoming better people today, rather than fixating on what we could have done differently in the past. In a world where perfectionism is often glorified and pressure to succeed is high, it's easy for overthinkers to get stuck in the past, constantly analyzing their mistakes. But the Stoic message is simple. We must stop trying to control the uncontrollable and focus on the present moment. Letting go is not a sign of weakness, but of strength. It takes wisdom and self-awareness to release the past and embrace the opportunity for growth in the present. By applying the principles of modern Stoicism, accepting imperfections, forgiving ourselves, and focusing on what we can control, overthinkers can free themselves from the burden of regret and find emotional peace. Life doesn't have to be perfect to be meaningful. Often, it's in our imperfection and ability to move forward despite our mistakes that we find true peace and fulfillment. Do you struggle with taking on too much responsibility, feel emotionally drained by the burden of caring for others, or have trouble letting go of the past? If you can relate, comment yes or 1 below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And don't forget to watch until the end, because we're going to give you practical solutions for overthinking right now. Number 5. Solutions for overthinkers. Letting go is a concept that overthinkers often struggle to grasp, mistakenly associating it with giving up or surrendering. This misunderstanding stems from the belief that letting go means admitting defeat, quitting, or accepting failure. However, true letting go is not about surrendering to circumstances, but about liberating oneself from the constant need to control everything. It's an intentional choice to relinquish control over things that are beyond your influence, acknowledging that some aspects of life cannot be fixed or managed no matter how hard you try. This realization doesn't equate to apathy or resignation. Rather, it is a profound act of strength and acceptance. Overthinkers often carry the heavy burden of responsibility for every outcome in their lives, convinced that if they can just anticipate every possibility and solve every problem, they will secure favorable results. But the truth is, no matter how much energy is poured into controlling every aspect of life, some things remain outside our reach. As the Stoic philosopher Epictetus wisely said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." This insight speaks directly to the overthinker's tendency to seek perfection and control, and the relief that comes from releasing the unnecessary burdens we impose on ourselves. Letting go in this sense is not an abandonment of responsibility, but a recognition of where our true power lies, within our own actions and reactions. For overthinkers, learning to let go means understanding that their worth is not tied to their ability to manage everything in their lives. Instead, it's about accepting the things that are beyond their control and refocusing their energy on the areas that truly matter: emotional health, personal growth, and meaningful relationships. This shift in mindset is liberating. It allows them to stop carrying the weight of the world on their shoulders and to trust in the natural flow of life. It's the act of saying, "I've done what I can, now I will let go and trust the process," that fosters emotional resilience and peace of mind. By learning to release the need to perfect everything, overthinkers can finally embrace a sense of freedom. The clarity that comes with letting go creates space for creativity, rest, and emotional well-being. Rather than becoming entangled in an endless web of doubts and second-guessing, they can allow themselves the luxury of stillness and peace. Letting go is a crucial step toward reducing the mental exhaustion that comes with overthinking, providing a much-needed reprieve from the constant noise and stress that fuels anxiety. In today's fast-paced world where the pressure to succeed, manage relationships, and control every outcome is ever present, modern Stoicism offers a pathway to freedom. The Stoic wisdom of recognizing what is within our control and releasing the rest has never been more relevant. By adopting this perspective, overthinkers can regain their balance, focus on what truly matters, and begin to experience life with a greater sense of calm and clarity. In essence, letting go isn't about quitting or giving up. It's about finding the strength to trust that things will unfold as they are meant to, without the need for constant intervention or perfection. Overthinkers often find themselves trapped in a cycle of constantly seeking answers, asking why behind every action, every word, and every event. This drive to understand everything, to find explanations for every situation, can feel exhausting. You've probably experienced it. Replaying a conversation in your mind over and over, trying to decipher what went wrong or what you could have done differently. It's a mental loop that only deepens your anxiety, leading you to believe that there's always something more to figure out. But here's the truth. Not everything in life needs an answer. Imagine trying to solve a puzzle where pieces don't fit together, no matter how hard you try. At some point, the best thing you can do is to stop forcing the pieces into place. In life, just like in that puzzle, not every question requires a solution. Sometimes the wisest thing to do is to accept things as they are. It may sound simple, but it's incredibly freeing. By letting go of the constant need to understand and control everything, you give yourself permission to stop overanalyzing every small detail. Life becomes more fluid, more natural. You begin to experience moments without needing to dissect them, to find the hidden meaning behind every action. Think about how often you find yourself worrying about things that, in hindsight, weren't even worth the energy. What if you could let go of that urge to find an answer for everything and simply enjoy the present? Imagine the peace you would feel. By embracing uncertainty instead of fearing it, you can break free from the burden of overthinking. The Stoic secrets teach us that we don't need to have control over every outcome. In fact, control is often an illusion. The Stoics encourage us to focus on what we can control: our thoughts, our actions, our responses, and to accept what we cannot control. This wisdom helps us navigate the chaos of life with a clearer mind and a calmer spirit. Denzel Washington, for example, often speaks about trusting the process. He emphasizes the importance of believing that things will unfold as they should, without forcing them into place. This mindset doesn't mean we stop caring or stop striving for improvement. It simply means we recognize that some things are beyond our control, and that's okay. When you embrace this approach, you begin to experience emotional freedom. You can stop constantly scrutinizing every moment and instead, simply be present in it. The uncertainty you once feared becomes a natural part of life. Over time, you'll realize that this freedom is more valuable than any answer you could ever find. So ask yourself, what would happen if you stopped overthinking every situation? What would it feel like to accept things as they are without needing to dissect or explain them? Can you embrace the uncertainty in your life and trust that things will unfold as they should? By applying the Stoic secrets of acceptance and focusing only on what you can control, you will find a deeper sense of peace and freedom. The answer isn't always found in more thinking. Sometimes the answer is simply in letting go and allowing life to unfold naturally. One of the greatest struggles for overthinkers is their relentless pursuit of perfection. They often become trapped in a cycle of obsession, analyzing every detail in an attempt to make everything flawless. This perfectionist mindset not only leads to mental exhaustion but also prevents them from appreciating life's imperfections. In truth, nothing is ever perfect, be it a career, a relationship, or a single decision. Striving for an unattainable ideal creates immense pressure and emotional strain. Modern Stoicism provides a powerful perspective, teaching us to embrace imperfection and focus on what we can control. As Epictetus wisely said, "Freedom is the only true happiness." The more we value things outside our control, the less control we have. Overthinkers suffer because they attempt to control every outcome and interaction, but by accepting the unpredictable nature of life, they unlock the freedom to live fully and authentically. In today's world where social media glorifies perfection and external pressures demand excellence, letting go of perfectionism is more challenging than ever. The constant push to meet unrealistic standards can lead to frustration and dissatisfaction. Overthinkers often miss the joy of the present moment, preoccupied with achieving flawlessness. Yet, life's beauty lies in its unpredictability and imperfections, which foster creativity, growth, and unexpected happiness. When overthinkers step back from their need for control, they start to see mistakes as opportunities for learning and transformation. As Marcus Aurelius said, "What stands in the way becomes the way." This Stoic wisdom reminds us that obstacles and imperfections are not barriers, but stepping stones toward personal growth. Letting go of perfection can bring a profound shift in perspective. Overthinkers who release their need for flawlessness open themselves up to creativity, freedom, and new experiences. They come to understand that mistakes are an inevitable and essential part of being human. Instead of fearing errors, they learn to accept them as part of life's journey. realizing that resilience and growth often emerge from challenges. The Stoics emphasized that we cannot control every situation, but we can control how we respond. Modern Stoicism reinforces this, teaching us that our response to failure, not the failure itself, defines us. This mindset allows overthinkers to shed self-criticism and embrace the present moment as an opportunity to evolve and thrive. A crucial part of embracing imperfection is releasing the need to control or fix everything. Overthinkers often feel compelled to solve every problem and provide every answer, a pressure that can lead to burnout and missed opportunities. By accepting life as it is, flawed but meaningful, they begin to experience greater peace and freedom. Letting go of unrealistic expectations fosters a sense of ease and gratitude, helping overthinkers focus on the richness of life's imperfections. The Stoics believed that imperfection is what makes life dynamic and full of potential, and this philosophy can empower individuals to approach life with more compassion and joy. Modern Stoicism offers practical tools to overcome perfectionism and achieve emotional well-being. By focusing on what is within our control, our thoughts, actions, and responses, we can free ourselves from the mental burden of striving for perfection. Overthinkers can break the cycle of pressure they impose on themselves and instead live with purpose and gratitude. As Seneca wisely said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." By letting go of the obsession with perfection, overthinkers can embrace the present and see imperfections as opportunities to learn and grow. Though challenging, the journey toward accepting imperfection offers freedom, peace, and fulfillment. Exactly what overthinkers need to thrive in today's demanding world. When we finish, remember that overly thought does not define you. It is simply a habit, and like any habit, it can be connected. By learning how to let go of what is beyond your control and grasp the beauty of imperfections, you can turn your deep thoughts into a source of power and strong clarity. It is important to believe in the flow of life, focusing on what is really important and allowing peace to live by itself at the present time. What a person thinks, worries, or suspects you can let go today? The commitment to "I let go of thought" shares it in the comments to show that you are ready to reduce the weight of your mind. If this message resonates with you like a video, please register Stoic in your life and join us on this journey of development and personal happiness. Together we can learn to live with purpose, freedom, and serenity.